Welcome back everyone to Gotcha Interact. Today we're going to be looking at some submissions we have from our community. If you guys do want to have this kind of idea with us, we are going to be looking at people's kind of what they've run with the recent Abyss, kind of just giving everybody the chance to go through it. A lot of people have gone through and given their submissions, so we're going to be looking at kind of what you guys have done, just picking at pieces to look. The major idea we're trying to go for is looking at characters or players that have had, free to play all the way to you pull a lot, you spend a lot of money, or maybe you're not invested, you are invested. No matter what, if you want to join the Discord and show us our, your own little kind of Abyss runs, even if you can't clear it, that's totally okay with us. And if anything, that's almost better because we really want to get a better idea of how the Abyss actually works and get to see a little bit more with everybody else and how they get to play the Abyss. It gives us a lot of information. Hopefully we can give some real insight, seeing a lot of different people kind of try the Abyss and see how much it can hurt or help them. Also, if you guys haven't noticed from the last video, we made it a comment, kind of forgot to talk about it in the video, but you see obviously that Rift is just, well, he's just a symbol right now.
I am non-existent.
Exactly. So for right now, for today, he's going to be the voice behind the curtain. But, in the next video, he will show up. Some technical errors are happening, so camera is back, though. We do have a camera for him to use now, so we're all good there. But with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right in and talking about these Abyss runs. First and foremost, looking at Kilio. Now, once again, if you want to do so, you can go ahead and join into our idea with some of our channels. If you have been using our channels, you can see on the side the interacting with you page over here. You can see that's where you're going to be submitting those for you guys. So without, once again, further ado, let's go ahead and jump right back into actually looking at the content. Let's go ahead and look at Kilio's first run. So first, it seems like we're running a Raiden, choosing the middle one.
We're going to prove that Raiden is actually good.
Compared to a low, a lot of people were saying, yeah. Let me make this a little bit bigger. There we go.
I mean, yeah, doing the typical overload, so I do like that.
Yeah.
Lots of damage from these characters. Xiangling is definitely still a good damage character. I know like a lot of people like to only use Xiangling for the vaporize stuff because that's typically where she shines, but I think she's still okay for a team like this. Also, like burning teams, yeah, she's not vaporizing, and it does allow you to do like an attack stance instead of the EM, so I like this team. There's just a lot of raw power.
Right. Clearing content pretty easily, pretty quickly on that first half. We are just going to look at the Chamber 3. But honestly, what I did like from this was looking at something you don't see very often, which is, if you look here, Yae Miko, Shevers, Xiangling. Xiangling usually isn't put in these types of teams, but it's pretty good because she also does get the damage increase. Yae Miko is another character that a lot of people don't like to use very often, if they even have her, just because a lot of people just feel like the same thing with Raiden, but even worse because almost like you have Fischl, why are you even using Yae Miko? So obviously as a Yae Miko fan, I like to see that. So yeah, pretty good. I think that's a solid run. The first half of Chamber 12 so far, of floor 12, Chamber 3, pretty solid considering you just have to deal with two bosses that are just mechanical, so you don't really have to deal with too much. So something like Overload's going to be pretty good with it. But look at the second half now. Okay, so Yelan, Noelle, Farina, and Shilonen. A lot of Geo, which makes sense. The second half is going to be very helpful for Geo characters. Or very good.
I like seeing the use of Noelle, so that's definitely exciting. And using a lot of hyper buff type characters and supports to make her deal a lot of damage. So I am definitely all for that. I'm an advocate for 4 stars. We all know this.
Yep. The good thing that we're seeing here...
And this is honestly a perfect team for this because you want to get a lot of Geo application to get that shield off on this particular boss.
All right, with his resistance down, a 62 or 62 and a half, 63k final hit there. Getting some good damage off. Like you said, lots of Geo application. Obviously, because there's one Geo character, 2 Hydro characters, Shilonen is being a good healer, but also is giving a resistance shred to both Geo and Hydro characters here. So
right, and is complementing Farina's drain, helping out her buff. So just a solid team. I love it.
Constant shields as well, even being created, which for the Geo resonance, I believe, is somewhat helpful. If you're protected by a shield, it is also pretty nice. 73k on that one. Now, keep in mind, she's running a Redhorn Stone Thresher, which is a 5-star weapon for Ito. So keep that in mind as you are looking towards that as this type of character. This is pretty difficult to do normally just because it is a not normal type of run, number one. Number two, also this abyss, like you were talking about, geo specific, geo heavy. It's a pretty strong supports too. I mean, you have 3 of some of the best buffers and, you know, supports in the game helping a 4-star character here. So they're definitely pulling a lot of weight for her, which is still good. But just for people that are looking at this being like, I can do that too. You might be able to. You totally could. But we want to be transparent as well here. Then the hits on these are still insane though.
Yeah, I just use a Skyward Pride on my Noelle. I don't have Red Horn. And I typically see probably like 40 to 50 Ks. I haven't played her in a while. I kind of need to.
Yeah, I definitely think I'm interested to see. That's very good stuff though. I'm going to guess the other... Yeah, it looks like Raiden and Yaimik on the first half. It was the same for Chamber 1 and Chamber 2. But I think overall, especially when looking at Chamber 3, that's pretty smart and strong there. Very good job, Kilio. Obviously, two sides of that, you know, I guess, floor that's not really seen very often for Chamber 1, 2, and 3. You normally don't see that. Now, Chamber 2, they might have done something different on the second half. Over here.
I mean,
Nope.
hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Nope, yeah, so even still, the Geo just still goes absolutely insane.
Yeah, once again, this team is really good for that second half.
I'm almost wondering if you, instead of Yelan, switch it out for someone like Shan Yun, this boss would have been even easier to absolutely destroy. Anyways, that's all we've got for looking at that one. Obviously, Overload, even with someone like Raiden, who was thought to be fallen off and trash and a garbage character, obviously still put out some pretty good damage. Let's look at Ga Ming and Noelle. Some extra plays here.
I love watching Ga Ming gameplay because there isn't a little bit of an element of difficulty to playing him. He's not like hard to play, but you have to just think when you do play him. It's not just like mash. So he's just fun to play because of it, in my opinion.
He's definitely, I think, one of the more fun 4-star characters, especially one that does make sense if you try to 5-star. We're seeing some pretty good numbers, even still.
That's a pretty fast clear, yeah.
And just mono Geo on the end of this one.
Now this might be pretty interesting.
See how, let's get to
40 to 50 Ks in there.
Yeah, I mean, Chiori's hitting some pretty good damage from off field as well.
I love Chiori.
I mean,
I realize I
pretty
actually like her more than I realized. Like after pulling her, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is what I wanted. Yep, I already knew I wanted it, but
and Goro just did like a
Geo teams are fun. They're just so niche that it's expensive to go after it and get you know, vertical investment in them because they just really kind of need it to compete with the more obvious options that are just more versatile for many teams.
Yeah,
but they are fun if you do have them.
Very, very interesting, though, to see that. All right, let's look at... We'll watch some Chamber 3, Hypercarry Neuvillette, which obviously this is going to be absolutely insane. And for some... Oh, okay, that's why. We're going to pause this for a second here, and we'll watch it small screen. Why not? All right, because I don't want to zoom in too much and have to worry about the rest. So, I mean, this is Neuvillette. I mean, even if this is a... This just goes to show you that everybody who says, like, oh... Yeah, by the way, doesn't really matter who you have, like, these top-tier DPS or whatever. Neuvillette, you know, they're not going to be good as soon as, you know, a new Abyss rolls around or whatever. I'm going to just play them this
Neuvillette
clip.
just covers, like, all bases.
No matter what
like,
it is.
He's got the single target, the AoE. He's just on a different level.
Yep. A very strong character, clearing most of the content that you can see here. Obviously, just because of how... Top tier DPS, Hydro character. So unless something's Hydro, most likely he'll be fine. Also, that is a hyper carry, so you're running literally the best supports in the game with him and for him. Probably with a lot of weapons and stuff like that as well. Alhaitham Hyper Bloom. Very strong looking on this first half here. Very interesting. Love the idea. That could be me.
I like seeing Alhaitham still because you don't see him as much anymore just because of all the Fontaine characters, and now we have all these new Natlan characters coming out. Alhaitham's a lot of fun, and playing his full best in slot teams for him, still pretty good.
Sag, you know, that could be me right now. Crazy.
Oh yeah, because you don't have Nahida.
This is what happens when you purposely skip Nahida multiple times ever since her banners have come out. Looks like
Vixen
a
really
lot of
said,
runs.
Nahida, Baiju? Oh yeah, I'll take that.
Oh my goodness, Farina got absolutely sent into next week. Right after we're burst. Oh,
Yeah, that's funny.
the only thing that didn't kill her, I guess. Sorry, Fossilor.
Oof.
Okay, we are backing ourselves into a corner, because that's what Farina does best. Staying alive is not one of them. Once again, sorry, Fossilor.
Yeah, Hyperbloom teams are just so fun. For me, I don't know, it just feels so fun because you've got so many different things going
It's like
on.
17 numbers happening all at once. I absolutely love it when I do it
Yeah.
too. Very, very fun. All right, Navia, bottom half. This should be self-explanatory. I'm going to run right to the third one because this is what I did actually. The exact same team. This is what I did when I went and did the Abyss. Please don't kill your Navia. Okay, there we go. Yeah. This is just going to absolutely shred. Navia's consistent geo application with the Farina buffs and everything. 566k right
Holy
there.
cow. Oh my goodness.
544. Yep. And it's just
Once again, guys, geo teams are fun if you invest in them. But that's the catch.
investing
They
in
need a
them.
lot of investment.
If you want to pause the video and look at the quick build we have here for the Gaming that you saw earlier, there you go. We have the Novelette speed run, which I guess could technically work as well. But yeah, all right. Well, that's kind of the idea with those characters. So I guess in a very basic sense, what are we thinking for that, I guess, for right now, Rift, as I set up the next thing we have ready to go?
I mean, it definitely was like a lot of vertical investment that we were looking at. I think it's kind of obvious when you look at the numbers and of all that stuff. You could definitely tell if it's not for Noelle, like you mentioned while we were watching Noelle, those supports carry a lot of the burden, I guess you could say. And so you could just tell like it's a lot of investment. So these are kind of like what runs for veterans accounts would look like, because that's what we were watching here. I mean, the 500k, more than that, with the Navia is absolutely insane. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, I think the thing to look at here, to your point, before we get to the last person, is the idea of looking at it like, okay, even still, I know this Abyss has been extremely difficult for a lot of players, especially if they don't have a lot of geo characters, and if you don't have characters like
Right.
Navia or Shilonen, something like that, where there's a lot of consistent, geo application you can get. But the biggest annoyance is having someone like, these characters that's going to be helpful. If you don't have Ito and that type of idea, and you don't have Navia, this is going to be a very difficult Abyss to run through, unless you have characters that can actually, once again, like you were saying, the supports to actually basically drag you through the Abyss. Even through Kilio's run, I believe, it still took him almost down to the 7-minute mark. He was about 20-30 seconds off, but still, even with an extremely good build, really, really good supports, the best supports you have in the game for that character, the 4 stars, this really just goes to show you how difficult it is, especially for this Abyss. I know a lot of people talked about how difficult this Abyss can be and has been to them.
Right. I think Kachina has a lot of value here just because she was given for free. And if you are a newer player as of 5.0, I think a lot of people have that. And she's super easy to just throw on that scroll set and get a damage bonus. So she can still bring some value to the team. Even if she's not providing any damage, she can provide a buff to your other 3 characters that are really there to get the kill. Like just whittle down the HP, because with the Golem, all you care about for the initial shield really is just application of Geo. That's the only thing that's taking that shield off. So Kachina's going to feel really good there.
Well, now we've got our last person up. Luke threw in his, and we finally have this up, so we'll go ahead and show the run. All right, so it looks like the first... Hold up, I skipped over it. Okay, so Chamber 1. We've got a Chlorond. Okay, Chlorond Overload.
I like this.
Especially with Toma. Follow the bird that wants to run away.
I mean, yeah, and if the Toma is C6, which I would imagine veteran player would have that, I mean, that's helping out with the normal attack damage, too. That Cloran does a little bit of a mixture of both normal attack and skill damage, so he's helping out a little there. I think the biggest takeaway is, of course, just Chevreuse being in the picture. The biggest buff here. Official's just a lot of good sub DPS to kind of fill in the gaps.
Yeah, good sub DPS while also making sure that no matter what, you're having a lot of like overloads happening so that no matter what, Chevreuse can come back on field and always have her shell ready. It's especially necessary for the beginning of a run because you don't want to have to use anything on Cloran to get set up for the overload for Chevreuse.
Right. Yeah, overload team's definitely kind of one of the best plays for this first half. I mean, they set you up for it by giving you both of these beasts, with the Electro and the Pyro beast. So
yep,
it makes a lot of sense.
I'm an idiot this entire time. We were on 480p. And where I'm at right now in Dropbox allows me to bring it up to 1080p. So we're going to actually be watching this correctly now. Discord, on the other hand, does not want us to see things in a nice, in enough pixels. But Dropbox is nice to us, I guess. Seeing Kokomi. Okay. And Shiori and Navia.
I love that.
It's actually a pretty interesting team right here.
I just like seeing characters that just don't get seen as much anymore. Just because it's interesting, right?
Mm-hmm. And I mean, you can even see here, even though this is not the extreme wreck house that you saw earlier with other characters, you're still seeing a lot of damage being output here through these characters.
Well, yeah, you've got both Hydro Resonance and the Geo Resonance. So, and someone needs to heal the team, and that helps Furina's buff. So Kokomi is bringing a lot there.
Right. Yeah, I think overall, you can even see here, even these characters, the Abyssal Order... disorder or whatever, the increase of defense percent isn't even really necessary. A lot of these characters are basing their damage off of just straight attack. Besides a character like Noelle or
like
Ito.
the Navia.
Right.
The Navia, the Chiori. I mean, yeah, Chiori uses both, but you can still, she does dip into that attack.
Obviously, Claymore users are going to be extremely good on this boss, so if you do have a Claymore user, make sure to use them. So your 3 major DPS for this element are going to be pretty strong.
Like just not having Geo, at least the Claymore. And it is nice that this boss does allow you to plunge. You don't even have to have Shan Yun, as you can see. So it's kind of fun. I like this boss. I don't know if that's a hot take or not. It's just fun.
No, I think this is a pretty fun boss. I think when we first encountered it and I didn't have Navia yet, I was mad at this boss because it took 47 years to break its shield in the overworld.
We're all like dying. I'm like, okay, what's hitting me? And it just turns out like, okay, I guess there's just a meteor shower happening. All right.
Yeah, so then as soon as I said I don't want to build my Noelle and picked up Navia, everything was better. I'm kidding, I mean, we're seeing a lot of extra help here.
Has to have one of the best animations.
Oh yeah, her burst animation is absolutely insane. Still seeing a lot of damage. I mean, that's constant 20Ks coming out of that. There's a 32K from Official.
It's so fun because like it's just so much sporadic damage, just so many different numbers, and it all adds up.
I mean, constant 24Ks, and now obviously some of the buffs are gone. But I mean, 18 to 24K, 25K consistently. I mean, those numbers are happening lightning fast because they are, like you're talking about, normal attacks. So, absolutely insane.
Cloran now. Thanks, Luke.
Well, we'll skip to the end a little bit here. Boom. So, very
Solid
good.
Teams.
Very interesting. I think this just, once again, verifies the point. This Abyss, at the end of the day, my personal opinion, if this doesn't solidify for you in the future, for the Imaginarium Theater, for any Abysses that might be coming out in the future, get a Geo character. Get a Geo DPS. Possibly get to the point where you can make, if you're like, I don't care about Navia, I don't care about Ito, perfectly fine. If you want to go ahead and build your Noelle, try to get her to higher constellation, cool. You're going to need Navia, or you're going to need, obviously you're going to need Noelle, but you're going to need characters like Furina, possibly a character like, you could be grabbing Chiori as an off-field DPS. If you want to use someone like Albedo, that also works. But you're going to have to grab someone like Farina to really help you out there. Also, grabbing a character like Bennett or something like that, you're definitely going to need to have you actually bring you to the next level here. So, and if Geo is a little bit of a lower end for you here, I would say that that's something that you kind of need to a little bit more focus on. It's definitely one of the lower points in my account, but someone like Navia, I would say, is going to be able to fix a lot of future problems for you 99% of the time.
Navi is just a great DPS. She's pretty near the top as it stands and just pretty versatile. Like, she doesn't require the mono Geo. She actually likes having just other characters like that we actually all have and stuff. Works really well with some, you know, more free-to-play friendly characters. 4 stars, just off-field application. The other thing about Geo, if you need it, regardless of Geo itself, with a character like Shilonen now, just having a lot of value regardless of her element because of what she can bring to a team is nice, because if you do end up needing Geo for something, whether that's an Abyss like this as a perfect example, or just Imaginary Theater limiting your options with one of the options being available being Geo, you can still use your Shilonen for that. So, and you're not really like feeling like, it's not like, it doesn't feel like you pulled, oh man, I just pulled out Ito and I don't know, I just really didn't want that, but I felt like I needed it or something like that. Shilonen, regardless of Geo, is just good, so you can feel comfort in that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to basically bring up at the end of the day. What this is going to do, no matter what, I would not focus, although that is very true, I wouldn't focus solely on Shilonen. Her application is not enough, obviously, to take down a lot of those shields, but it definitely is very helpful. Like I talked about before, if you are going to use her, and I've said this kind of on my own channel, I've talked about this here, make sure you have at least 2 of those, 2 of the core 4 in the team if you want to get the resistance shred, or else it won't be happening. Keep that in mind as you are running that, which is why you saw the double hydro characters. Once again, bringing up someone like Farina, bringing up someone like, Yelan or something like that you saw there, allowing for a little bit more of a consistent effort there. Maybe even someone like Bennett to have 2 of the core 4 there to make sure you've got a pretty big buff there. So we saw Navia being pretty strong. I'm pretty sure, obviously, Ito's going to be pretty good for the second half in this Abyss. Obviously, Noelle can do pretty well. You're going to have to get carried by the supports, but it does work. But that does just go to show, if you don't have Geo, this Abyss is going to be pretty rough for you, and it's going to take you down a peg. So this might change, maybe who you're thinking about pulling in the future, if you want to make your life easier for the Abyss. Well, that's everything I think we've got to say about the Abyss for this video. If you guys did like the video, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Check out our Discord as well. And if you want to have your own videos put in, basically for us to watch, kind of give our input on, please go ahead and let us know. Obviously, join the Discord, go into the channel that you see with interacting with you. You guys can go ahead and jump in there when you're doing so to help us get a little bit more obviously ideas to see, is the Abyss still okay and working out right now? Is it a little bit of a problem for some people? This does give us a little bit of a better insight as well. Plus, you might get your video seen in one of our videos. So once again, thank you guys for watching the video, and we'll see you guys in the next one.